There's so much misinformation out there for what truly matters with getting good with women and dating. So we're going to go over all of it, from whether you should try to develop your social skills, to whether you should try to be a good texter, to dating apps, which one you should use, if any. And we're basically just going to rank it with the total amount of value that it could provide if you were to do it, and also balancing that with the amount of effort that's needed. So this first one is D tier. And while it can be effective, it can also ruin your chances if you do it to the wrong woman. Dick pic. Sending pictures of your junk really only works with a certain type of girl. And I mean, if I had to put a number on it, it would be like 10%. You really have to know what you're doing. I mean, it's basically you send it and then it's basically asking, do you want to hook up soon? And if you get a positive response, that's great. But that could be a major red flag to somebody who actually really likes you, but you immediately shut things down because she's not into that. But next is how useful it is to be good in bed. And I'm going to put this in B tier, as it is amazing for retention. It is the best way to get somebody hooked on you. But of course, if you're struggling to meet anybody right now, it's not really relevant. So it would be S tier, but I'm going to bump it down to B just because it's not everybody can develop that skill yet. Now let's rapid fire some different ways to meet women. So let's start with dating apps. I'm going to put in A tier. Like, yes, there are a lot of effort and there's a lot of competition, but if you just know the fundamentals and are able to get good pictures, it is still the most reliable option because it's social skill. Okay, we'll get to the other options in a moment, but yeah, it's definitely the most reliable. After that is cold approach, which I'm actually going to put in A tier. Like it has the highest ceiling in terms of what it can provide to your life, but it's difficult as hell. After that is pursuing someone from your social circle or work. Like it is great. Like you can just naturally build a connection with somebody and that will happen whether or not you even plan on it. But of course it can also get pretty messy if a relationship were to happen and breaks up. So I'll probably put that in C tier. And following that is night game, the bars and the clubs, which I'm also going to put in C tier because it can be the quickest option to hook up. It also has a pretty high ceiling, but it's another thing where you're just going to have your appearance locked in. But not only that, just like that killer instinct to actually make a move. Like, can you go to a club, see somebody, talk, vibe, and be able to like pull them, like say, let's go, I got a hotel room or whatever. Like very few guys have that level of swagger, I guess, confidence who would pull that off. So yeah, that's definitely C tier. Now the first S tier thing to prioritize is getting as much experience as you possibly can.
I think personal experience is everything.
I know I sound like a broken record if you've listened to any of my videos. I'm going to keep saying it, but like I promise you can learn 10 times more going out and failing than you can behind a computer screen. Like it is literally impossible to build confidence while staying in your house. Like you need the exposure, you need the reps, you need to rewire your brain to see that, oh, it's not that scary. And then you keep doing it. And you learn subtle things and they compound and eventually you have the success. And once you start having success, that's when the confidence comes because you see it, you have evidence that, oh yeah, you're actually like okay or decent at this. Like if there was an S tier plus, this would be in it above everything else. So don't be afraid of losing because that's the actual progress. But speaking of which, we also now have our first F tier.
It's so bad, it's a disorder.
This includes anything from the psychology of women to pickup techniques to negging to neurolinguistic programming, which is just pseudoscience. It's proven, it's just garbage. And you have to understand that it's not that every aspect of like seduction and pickup is wrong, but it's just very, it's not going to move the needle. Like, again, it's behind a computer. You're not going out. You're not actually talking to women. And if you keep doing that stuff, you get more and more just, you're regressing because you're prioritizing the wrong things and you're, saying things that just won't really matter. It's like, and especially it can be quite obvious with like pickup guys when they're not even putting effort into their appearance. Like fundamentally, they're believing that it's like any woman could be seduced. That's when you break all of their beliefs down, is that it's like if you can't seduce some woman at the grocery store, then you're not as good at seduction as somebody else. But it's like, okay, first off, they're not like robots. It's not like a game. You can, they can just not be available. They could just be dating somebody. They could just not find you attractive, which is like, if you're doing that stuff, is probably the case the most of the time. But definitely F tier.
Stay away from it, Oz.
Okay.
Now let's fly through some D tiers. First is strategizing your text, which the reason why this is not F, because there can be some, if you're a little bit oblivious, there's absolutely, you don't want to be blowing up their phone. You don't want to double texting, which is like texting, and then if they don't respond in an hour, text again. Obviously you don't want to do that. Just keep in mind with that it's like, if she likes you, what you say or how you say it won't really matter. After that is volunteering at places to meet women, which kind of misses the point of volunteering, but I guess it's like a net positive for wherever you're doing it. But it's unlikely that you'll meet anybody single. Like, if you really break it down, there might be like a half dozen people there, maybe a dozen, maybe 2 dozen, but like, what's the chance that somebody's attractive, that finds you attractive, that is available? Even if you're very good looking, it's like, that's still going to be like a big investment of time, and it's not really going to be worth it. After that are hobbies, like playing guitar. And really, this is kind of like F tier. Like, that is a common thing. Like, you realize how much effort it will take to like get good at playing the guitar, and like, women don't really care about that. That's just like, unless you're actually in like a legit band, if you like in a venue and you're like playing it and you have a big crowd watching you, cheering you on, and it's like, okay, you've got some swagger at that point, then yeah, but otherwise it's not worth it. And this actually leads me into the next thing, which I'm going to put in C tier, and it's swagger.
The swagger is essential.
It's just having presence or status. Like one way is like how you look. Like if you have like neck tattoos, like a ton of edge, that could work. Maybe a bunch of jewelry, edgy look. I don't know, rocker look. I have no idea. I don't really ooze swagger myself. But if you're like at a work thing, if you're at not a work thing, if at your work you have power, if you are like higher up on the ladder, there's women below you, like even if you don't intentionally display it, you're gonna have some status, just this like presence to you to some degree. At least that's how others will view it, even if they don't like you. It's just you have power, and that is something that is actually quite attractive. And I'll actually put swagger and status as its own thing because it is kind of different. Now, possibly my favorite video that I made so far is another tier list video, and it's about looks maxing, and I'll link to that in a moment. But as I said in it, that if you've been working out for a while and you already have a decent physique, while exercise is still very, very healthy, it's just not going to provide that much return for your effort, which is the entire point of this video. It is like diminished returns at a certain point. And especially like if I know a lot of guys who end up like taking certain things to enhance them, and then they end up going bald, and like they don't even care because they've like become so committed to this. And I know a lot of them, at least in the beginning, started working out for the sake of being more attractive, and it's just counterintuitive. Like, obviously, anyway, I'm not going to get into all that, but it's definitely something to keep aware of if you're just like, what is your goal right now? What do you want to accomplish, and what is holding you back? But, you should always exercise to some degree. And another S tier, which is again talked about in that video quite a bit, is your appearance improvements. Just everything to do with your appearance, but like all the like little quick things, just finding the right style, the right haircut, maybe even getting a tan. Those 3 things alone, I've seen countless times. Somebody that I would say is like a 6 is now an 8. Literally, like the amount of effort required to actually, maybe it's like a month if you really dig down into like, what should I wear, what actually looks good. Maybe you can get some help if you need it. It just kind of shakes me a little bit because there's so much that I can talk about, and I want to emphasize it a bit, but I know this isn't the entirety of this video, but it is by far S tier and is worth your effort to try and find the right haircut. Yeah, lots of stuff. Anyways, look, go watch that video.
Get down there, go watch it.
But 3 more left, so let's do this. The first one is DMing women on social media, which I'm going to put in C tier. Like, it's decent if you already know them, and it's just like obvious. It's hard to approach people in person, but you can start a conversation, open things up. It's not that bad. If you don't know them, that's really not really worth the effort because it's just going to be a waste of time almost every time. Next is developing your social skills, which I'll probably put in B tier because like if you're way off the mark, it is helpful. Even if you're already have decent social skills, it is useful, but it's just, if you're going on dates, you're going to get two birds stoned at once. You're going to be able to actually build confidence on a date, how to talk, your vibe and everything. And you're also still going to develop your social skills. So you might as well keep doing that. And lastly, an A tier is just making sure you never act jealous or insecure or needy or clingy or anything like that. It is okay if you feel that way sometimes. As I always say, just don't act on it, because it is a big turnoff and it is a red flag. But that is it. If you think I missed anything, let me know. If you disagree with any of this, then go out and talk to girls and report when you get back into your mom's basement. If you, I have that video over here, the looks maxing video you can click on. And if you need any help with your dating profile or really anything, let me know. I think it's a New Year's basically. I'll give a free week to anybody who wants just a bit of advice, just a bit of help. But anyways, I will talk to you guys next week. Peace.